Everyone. I couldn't have had a better timing to start this session. Because what I'm going to say is somewhere connected to the performance that we just saw right now. Before that, let me begin by giving some context about myself. So I come from a generation when I was told schools and hospitals are the priority for everyone. Temples, culture, all of those things can take a backseat. So I come from that generation. Okay? And which is right, nothing wrong. Now, having grown through this journey, this generation, and personally being a little adventurous, it so happened suddenly a couple of weeks back, I thought of going for a trek. You guys like trekking? Yes. So I planned to go for a trek. Now, me being a Gujarati, I want some more out of the money I spent, right? So I thought, let's do one thing. Let's combine trek with something else. And what better than a pilgrimage? So I thought of going for a trek to Kedarnath. Now some facts about Kedarnath, which I was really not aware of before I decided. Obviously it's a Shiva temple, and that's why I said the performance was the perfect timing for me. It is at around 11,755 square feet from the sea level, which is close to the highest peak in Europe. The temperature in summer is in the range of 3 degrees centigrade and can go anywhere. It is believed that it was created around 12,000 years ago. It is believed. It can be even older. Right? And the most unique part of this place, it is shut for 6 months in a year. Obviously because of the snow. I started my journey. I reached the base camp. In that journey I met, so it was a group trek. I met around 15-20 people, joined them. We went through a bus. Then we went in a jeep from one location to the other, and then we were brought to a place called Sonprayag, where we were supposed to start our trek. When you reach that place, you realize that in a trek generally you will find very few people around. In this place, you see crowd bigger than a local train. Crazy. Now, me being from a generation which says that culture, tradition, all of those things are good, focus on schools and hospitals, this was slightly a bit of a shock for me, that so many people are still on this journey, not for adventure, but for their faith. Good. When I reached the base and I started seeing things around me, I started seeing the crowd around me, I realized there are hundreds of people around me, thousands of people around me. There are shops at every 100 meters gap. There are horses, they call khachar, to carry people to Kedarnath. There are people, which you would have seen in the movie Kedarnath, who carry people on their backs for these 25 kilometers. And this is not an easy trek. It's 25 kilometers of steep movement with no roads. This is what I saw there, and I was a little disturbed. One, it is dangerous, full of chaos, so many people around there. Anyway, you've paid money, so you do it, right? I started Googling some details about Kedarnath. And to my surprise, I realized just last year, 20 lakh, 2 million people visited Kedarnath. 2 million. The revenues, the visitors, you can see the numbers on the screen. The most unique thing that I realized in this trek was that 20 lakh people are dependent on this one temple for their livelihood. 20 lakh, 2 million people are directly or indirectly dependent on this temple that opens for just 6 months for their livelihood for the entire year. Why am I sharing all of these things? Wait for it. What is happening in that place? What is going on? Homestays, packed. Food stalls, packed. Maggie is almost a staple diet there. Horsemen, hundreds and thousands. Hotels, packed. Camping sites, trek that I was joining, such trek agencies, fully booked. There are agencies which run such treks every Friday of these 6 months, and they are fully booked. Tour groups, the car drivers, the jeep drivers, the bus drivers, they are all fully booked. And what does this cascade into? What I was told since last 30 years, that we need more schools and more hospitals. It is this employment that this one temple is generating that is giving these people the money to send their kids to the schools, and of course when they are not well, to use the hospitals. Now, is this talk about religious place? Is this talk about how great the religion is? No. It of course is. It is the greatest thing that we have. But there's something else that I noticed which completely disturbed me, which completely transformed my thinking about things that happen around us. While I was always felt that it's only schools and hospitals that are important for us to grow and move forward, I realized there was something beyond this that was equally important. We can either look at everything from a religious spectrum, or we can realize that there is something beyond this limited scope, that is something which is creating a huge ecosystem for employment, for livelihood, and so on and so forth. If I do a back of the envelope calculation, 20 lakh people employed only by one temple, and those people having a family of 3 to 4 people, it means 1 crore, 10 million people depend on this one temple for their 2-time meal each day. Do you understand the magnitude of what is happening here? Which brings me to the moot point, the power of ecosystem. While it sounds that I'm talking about a temple, what I'm trying to communicate is that when you have one pivotal point around which an entire ecosystem is built, the potential goes to a different level altogether. Now, how does this matter to leaders? Why should a leader think about something like this? Let's come to that. I was just comparing Kedarnath with some other such cultural places, and I realized Vatican City, which is of course the biggest place or the most important place for Christians, has around 1 crore visitors every year, 10 million visitors every year, which means a similar ecosystem exists even there. Are we then supposed to look at these two cultural places as just religious or cultural places? Or is it only wise to look at this as an economic unit? It's for us to think. Chanakya, the true visionary that we have had in India, he says, don't look at temple as just a place of worship, but a place of creating economic growth for everyone around it. Now, again, why am I sharing this? How does it connect with leadership? How many of us know this? At least 3 billion people are on these platforms. So I'm sure most of you are on it and know this. What are these places? What are these platforms? Are these just apps? There are users, there are content creators, there are meme creators, there are creative agencies, there are people who sell their products here, there are people who market their products here, people who become influencers on this platform, existing celebrities already who were looking to connect with people, they use these platforms. So what are these things? And why leadership comes here? These are nothing but ecosystems. Don't look at them as just apps. These are ecosystems, and that's where the business comes in. The Gujarati in me quickly goes back to Kedarnath and thinks, how can I use this anywhere else? But someone has already cracked this code. This is an ecosystem which is built around the same concept. You have one pull factor, and then there is an entire ecosystem that gets built around it. Is this the only one? Heard of Amazon? Anyone? What is Amazon? Buyers, sellers, supply chain, delivery boys, manufacturing units, products, services, ecosystem. Anyone? Food, one pull factor. Delivery boys, hotels, dark kitchens, creative agencies. I hear there are photographers who only take pictures of different kinds of foodstuffs. You're seeing what's happening when an ecosystem gets created? That is the point I'm trying to make here. If you are a leader and if you have a vision, build an organization or a setup that is around an ecosystem. It's very smart to be a hero in everything. But if you really want to go big, if you want to go, think of how you can create a huge ecosystem where everything works on itself and it goes global. Now, there are questions. How can an individual use this ecosystem? Any thoughts? How can an individual really create an ecosystem? Do we know actors? Do we know influencers? Are they individuals? Do they have producers? Do they have financiers? Do they have makeup artists? What is that? Even if you are an individual, it is important for you to create an ecosystem around you if you want to succeed. We always hear this, right? The rich and the famous generally get away with everything, or they get what they want. The underlying is that they have created an ecosystem for themselves that helps them push forward, that helps them to grow at every stage of their life, difficult or simple. And that's the point I want to make as the first point. Try to make an ecosystem around you. Your leadership will become much more simpler if you can create this thing around you. We are in this college. What is the college? Students, faculty, principal, and the ecosystem around that, trustees, ecosystem. Think for yourself. Are you creating an ecosystem or you're running alone? Think. From the same journey of Kedarnath, and as I said, I come from a generation where it was very limited, schools and hospitals. When I look back and I passed through my journey at Kedarnath, another thing came to my mind. It is not black and white. Life is not black and white. Do we need schools and hospitals? Definitely. Is it important? 100%. But does everything work in silos? No. It has to come together. And that's where the thing that I had learned for last over 30 years got slightly shattered. Open up your mind and you will realize that there are things that you are told. We had a speaker saying, don't listen too much to the Instagram influencers, right? Exactly. To go deeper. And you will realize that there are a lot more things that are being, there's one thing which is being told to you, the other thing that is underlying. And that's why, as a leader, it's important to have critical thinking. When I finished my Kedarnath journey, I realized what I was being told for the last 30 years was just the first and the second layer. It was some data, it was some information, but once I finished my journey, I realized the actionable insights and my thought process had to be completely filtered so that I can understand the importance of this ecosystem. As a leader, you will always have people around you who will give you information, who will try to influence you in different ways, because everyone has their own motivations. But if you want to be successful, you'll have to go deeper, understand what's going on below what is being told to you, and then make your judgmental call. It can be based on data, it can be based on information, but it's your insights that will count at the end of the day, which will help you to make the right decisions. So the second takeaway is always build yourself to critical thinking and not reactive thinking. In today's time, we are too reactive to the situations and thoughts that come to us on social media, etc., because they are fast and they are attractive. If you want to be successful, go deeper. Listen, observe, and then decide what is right for you. So second lesson, as a leader, critical thinking. Go deeper, deeper, observe, and go deeper. Yeah? And the third and the most important thing that I feel is important, and we have had some conversations before this as well. I hear some people having depression, going through difficult times. You know why that happens? We are used to things which we are used to. Understand the statement. We are used to things that we are used to. But that is not the reality. That is not how you deal with the world. If you want to deal with the world, understand there are dynamics that play in a very random way. Things may not be as they were earlier. Things may change. Things may change overnight. And so you need to understand that the world is about chaos. And the chaos is never consistent. Now, how do you come to this? I'll give you a small story. So there was a bridge that was built called Choluteca Bridge. That region where it was built, around Central America, was prone to hurricanes and all such things. So the country president called a Japanese company to make this bridge so that it can sustain all the hurricanes and all the climatic, disasters. Perfect. They made the bridge. Excellent. People are happy. They had a hurricane around 1998. Nothing happened to the bridge. Perfect. Job done. There's only one change that happened. Because of the hurricane, the river changed its course. One small mistake. And now the bridge is called the bridge that was never used. That's life, my friends. You might think you are doing everything well, but things may change and you do not control it. But how do you control yourself? Being adaptive, being aware of how things change around you, and not getting depressed about it. Accept things will change. Accept your thoughts might have to go into a complete tailspin. But that's what life is. Don't worry about change. Don't bother about things changing. Try to be on top of it. and you will be a champion. Now let me either scare you or give you hope with my last anecdote. Have you heard about this? Most of the jobs will be gone. Right? That's what we have heard. Because AIs will do everything, robots will do everything. But by now I think we know that AIs are built on patterns. Am I right? Any AI machine, obviously it is going to be intelligent far more than we think, but they are built on past patterns. Why are we depressed? Because we are depending on what we are used to. AI depends on what it has learned. But if you can go beyond what you have learned and you are nimble enough to understand or capture what you have not experienced yet or what the AI has not experienced yet, who becomes the hero here? Who becomes the champion here? Will AI control you or will you control the AI? That's your answer. Out of chaos comes order. So for all those who think chaos is difficult, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling stressed, embrace it. Enjoy it. Take failures. What's the problem? You fail, everyone fails. Virat Kohli goes out on duck, so what? Failure is part of the game. Embrace failure, embrace stress, and master chaos. That's what we all are about. That's leadership all about. If you understand this, you are sorted, and all the best leaders, you are the future. Thank you.